Hi, this is Terry from Sweet Pea Papers, and this is the next video in our series on our project called Livin Large. Now, the reason it's called that is obviously because we're using a large format. We're also using, let me see if I can get it out here. We're also using this very large paper pad called the Heirloom Stack by Die Cuts with a View, and it's 180 pages. I find the pages a little dark, so I've been trying to decide what we're going to do about that. I don't want it to be all doom and gloom, so I'm working on it. I've got boxes of stuff over here out of the way, supposedly, until I tried to pick up this big giant pad of paper. Now all of a sudden everything is in the way. So what we're going to do today is first we're going to talk about the cover again for just a minute. I've discovered that once we did the page that we did with the zigzag pockets, that was too much material and the magnets were not going to hold. So I rescued the magnet from this page and I put it back in the container. The other magnet we obviously had already covered. So it's just going to hang out in there forever and have nothing to do but just sit in there by itself. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to put a brad and a circle and a loop and tie around the cover. Okay, we're not going to do that in this video, but I just wanted to let you know about the change. Okay, I've taken the page where we left off and I put a few things in it. I may have gotten a little carried away, but I tried to put a few lighter things in to kind of lighten it up. And I'm going to put something on here, a sticker or a stamp or something, so that it's not plain. But I made 3 more large writing cards. This one is different paper from the kit still, though. And then I found all these tags in my tag box. Excuse my voice, in my tag box, which I have this huge tag box where I keep the tags from kits that I don't use. Plus I have a whole bunch from the tag fabrication kit by Artie Mays and Tracy Fox together. Each of them has half of the kit in their shop. So I can put links to those below, I guess. I didn't think about that. Let me make a note. Tag fabrication, tag fab. That's enough for me to get it. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do page 3. We're going to do most of it and then we're going to set it aside just like we did the cover. Okay, so we actually don't need the book right now. Oh, and on another side note, I decided to not use the pocket on the cover, so I glued it shut. Okay, so there's no longer a pocket on the cover. Up to you. I just didn't want the thumb hole on the cover, so I glued that pocket shut. I think the big pocket on the back cover is enough, plus we've got plenty of space inside the book. Okay, so that was another change that I wanted to talk to you about. So we'll set that to the side along with the cover paper, and today we're going to play with a paper bag. Ta-da! My voice. Okay, so for the page we're going to use this paper right here. Oh, we will need that back because we need to measure for the back page. So this is what we're going to use for the back page. This is what we're going to use to put on the paper sack. This is what we're going to make the writing cards that are going to go in the sack out of. We're going to back this writing paper with this cream colored paper for more writing paper. And then we're going to, of course, stencil these so they're not blank. Okay, so that's the agenda for today. So let's start with our backing paper. And I have just a few tags for the paper bag. So let's get this back out. Let me see what I can do here about getting my paper cutter back. I my paper trimmer. Let me see here. I just have a little bit of a space problem. You wouldn't believe it, because I'm working on a 6-foot long space and all of it is covered. Okay, so we're going to be on page 3. So we're going to measure with our little bit of tan showing. You know, I almost think, since it doesn't matter which way, I think maybe we should measure this way, so that we can see what we're doing. Okay, now we need to go to, we need to look at this fold right here. Oh, the other thing that I did is I took this gusset here and I felt that the one was too wide, so I brought it back to just 2 marks instead of 3. Okay, so this was going to be too wide, so I brought it back a notch by making a fold at one of the other pre-made creases. And it's all right, because this kind of yucky part right here will be covered with the paper. Okay, so I did that as well. So that won't come into play until we do pages 5, 6, and 7. But I just thought I would let you know, in case you're following along, that you can make changes that I've made now. But that's what happens. I've never done a book like this before, and so as you go along, you're going to have to make changes to your plans. So let's go ahead and measure the paper. Just want to double check where I'm at. Okay, we want to go just inside here. Let's make sure we're straight. Okay. And just above right there. Okay, so let's make our cut, and then we'll double check it, and then we'll be done with using that. Sorry if you can hear the stomping. It's 10 till 6 in the morning and everybody's going to work. Let's double check this fits our page. I got tags going everywhere, don't I? I put quite a few in. I added 3 writing cards and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is a little cluster that I put on right here. So I added 10 items to the page. Make sure I can push them down in there a little bit tighter. I did ink them all, but I'm going to add some embellishments, you know, onto a couple of them. Okay. It looks a smidge short, but I think we'll be all right. But see, that looks better with just the 2 instead of the 3. And then we have this small one here, which is laying flat at this time because we have that heavy part. But it will fill out when we fill out this part here with our paper bag, which we won't be able to put on. Well, we might, because we're just going to glue the cover on and do the brad. So putting the paper bag on may not make a whole lot of difference. So let's do the paper bag. Now we have to decide if we want the paper bag. Let me unclip all this stuff. Let me fix something here. That was my phone. Okay. Forgot I have crafting with my friends this morning at 8 a.m. Awesome. Now see, we can let the bag stick up. That would be kind of cool. We're going to have 2 cards in here. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to cut your bag off or leave it like it is. Personally, I like the way the top of the paper bag looks. You know, I don't necessarily want it to be straight across. I could fold it down if I wanted to, but then I'd have to figure out a way to close it, and that would involve, when you open the paper bag, you'll notice there's the thumb hole. So you would have to put a dot right in there. And I'm not sure I want to look at that. You know what I mean? Because the white side would have to be somewhere. And I'm not intending on inking the bag. I'm not going to do anything to the bag except put paper on it. Okay? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down inside the bag, and where this fold is right here, we're going to glue it shut. So we're going to go in here. We're going to open the bag so we can see it like it's a popcorn bag. And we're going to get to that line. And it's easier to see where it is on this side. And I'm going to put the glue bottle in here, and I'm just going to glue across. I'm just going to glue across. It's hard to put it where you can see it. Okay. I can't see where my glue's going. And I may have to glue on the folds in here. All I want is for things to not fall down into this part of the bag. So if I glue the center, I think that's going to work. I may have to go in and glue the other side. Let me check the situation here. No, that seems to have glued everything shut. Okay, and then we're going to put writing cards. Now remember, there's room for 2. 1, 2. So we're going to put 2 in. Okay, so we've got that glued shut. Make sure we've got it all flat again. This is our backing paper. We're done with that for right now. We verified that it's the right size. We're almost out of glue, so let's get that pin in there so we don't have an eruption. I had one earlier today when I was messing with those tags and stuff, and I was like, oh no, oh no. A little bit of glue I have is volcanoing out of the top, which it hardly ever does when you use these soft, sweet Sugar Bell bottles. These bottles are for cake frosting, but they're soft, and so it makes it easier to squeeze. Somebody with hand issues like I have, I can't squeeze that Fabri-Tac bottle at all, and plus the end of it is so wide. I don't know how anyone uses it, but lots of people do. Now, the reason we haven't glued this shut to make our pocket yet is because we want a paper down to where we can, when you have the pocket, you don't see brown paper bag. So we're going to cover it all the way down to here with the paper that we've selected, which is this paper. So we're going to have to put this down in here and measure over like this. Oh, that's why I couldn't get it straight. You have to excuse my sniffles this morning. One of those days. Now, is that the bag or the other side of the bag? That's the other side of the bag. Okay. We're going to leave a little bit showing. So we're going to cut our height first. And I was all panicked because I needed a new blade desperately. And I was thinking, oh no, I'm not going to, it takes several days to get one through Amazon. I have some coffee here. And I thought, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get it in time to not cut these papers all ragged. And then I realized I still had one. Okay, we're going to go in just a little bit. And that'll be our width. Okay, so now we have these two scraps. And this one we'll be able to make one of the cards out of. And I think, you know, I went through my scraps and I brought a whole pile over. And here's some of the paper from that pocket that I made. But anyway, I thought we would maybe try to use some of this color to kind of put some color in here. This looks very similar to what's on the pad, but it's thicker. Got this cool clock thing I might use as some trim somewhere. And yeah, so got all this. Got a book page. Got some of this. It's kind of cool. Wait, there's some in here that's written on both sides. Oh, back. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so go through your scrap pile. Sometimes you'll find some good stuff. Oh, it's here. These two. I wanted to get them out for this paper bag because they are already printed on the back. And plus there's space to write on each of them. So we could put two in one pocket and put one big card in the other pocket. That would be an option. It's a pretty good idea. So let's set those to the side. We'll think about that. I'll be very happy to say that I used some of my scraps because I have a drawer of scraps like you would not believe. Or maybe you would. Okay. All right. That looks good. I like that. And of course, now you know what we have to do. Sorry, we're inking as we go along. So we're custom cutting the sizes out of a 12 by 12. So it's just way of life. However, I must say it is easier to ink this thin paper. My favorite part is the corner, so you're just going to have to listen to it. Oh well. You're probably happy to hear that I'm recording a little bit later in the morning so I can actually talk like a normal person instead of sounding like Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers from the neighborhood. I don't know why I'm inking that. That's going to be behind the pocket. Anyway. Even says paper bag on there. Can't believe I ended up cutting the side that had the writing on it. So we gotta wait for the air bubble. Looks like I need to thin it. there's something in there. Okay, just going to put it on the paper bag. Straighten it out. It's kind of hard to tell. Might have to move that out of the way if one of them is sticking out. Remember, these come from the factory. Take this up. I want to get it farther down. I forgot to take into account the thumb hole, which is no problem. We can just cut one out, but let me get my thumb hole punch. Can't believe I did that, but I should have made it a little bit shorter. Let's see where it is. It'll end up being a little bit bigger, but that's all right. There we go. Oh, for cripe's sakes. Go. The paper tore a little bit right there. Okay, now let's ink that a little bit. It's the paper. Now, I'm not planning on papering this. In my Antiquarian sticker book, I found a large sticker that I thought would look good, which is this large one right here, which I think would look good on the paper bag. So let's see if we can get it. We may need to put some glue on it. But I do like it. They have some of the craziest stuff in here. Okay, let's put some glue on here. So I do like it. It isn't very sticky. And the paper bag is kind of kind of tough with that seam in the middle. Look at that. So very cute. I love it. So there's our sticker. And then we're going to glue this pocket shut. We're just going to glue here and here, which I meant to do before I put the sticker on. But not looking at the notes, so that's what we get. So we'll glue that, and that'll make this into a pocket. You know, the thumb hole in that bag was not in the center. Okay. All right. So now all we need to do are the writing cards. And I think, let's see how long these are. Okay, so we have to cut it off. By how much? I want it to stick out just a little bit. Let's make a mark, and then we can use this to determine how high or how long our cards will be. Did I just mark that where I'm cutting off the top? I think I did. Should have put it in upside down. So when I cut the bottom off. So let's put it in upside down. And save this. It's big enough, see, that we can use it somewhere else. So let's mark this one. And we're going to make the writing cards just like we did in the previous video. We're just going to cut the paper, glue it to the white, round the corners, and then glue them together. So it's going to be exactly the same. I'm not going to round the corners on these. I want them to look more like a piece of paper. I hate inking it down there because there really would not be ink in the middle of the writing, would there? That's my stomach growling. It's time for my tomato sandwich. Well, guess I better. Or it's not going to look right when you're looking at just one side of it. Yeah, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Of course. Just adds a little character. I must say, in a brand new one this size, there's quite a bit of ink, just so you know. It's funny, the stamp that says copies is backwards. Okay, so we'll put those in the front. Oh look, they do fit in there. We can pull them up just a smidge. Nobody will know. But that way people know they're in there. And then we'll make a writing card for in the back. Oh. Use that to measure for height. We're not going to do the width because we don't want the writing card, unless we do two, like we did two in the front. So I'm doing the length and the width. I'm going to do the length first. That will give us a better scrap. You don't want to do the width. Well, no, I think we will do the width first. Then that will leave us this big scrap. And we don't really need two cards for the back. We've got two in the front. Okay, and I'm thinking I'm going to leave this one square too. And we're just going to back it. We're not going to have the cream show like we did on the other pockets. And then you saw me stencil in the video before. So that'll be all that's left. Then we're going to set the paper and the paper bag to the side until we make sure that it doesn't wrinkle the cover. You know what I mean? So that we can work on the cover. But this is page 3. We're going to do them in order, as far as I can tell so far. And so we're going to have to maybe set the bulky bag aside. But I wanted to do it. I was looking forward to doing the paper bag. Okay. So now we're going to stencil on the back. I got a different doily. I'm wondering, that's not quite big enough, is it? So let's just do half down one side. Okay. Now this is another stencil that I used my brother's Scan and Cut to cut out. I got mine on sale. I didn't get the most expensive one. I think mine was $2.99, which is expensive, but I use it for a lot of things. If you learn how to use the software that goes with it, then it makes it a much better deal. And for someone like me whose hands are in question as far as their usability factor, then you're going to totally appreciate it. But I downloaded that file from the internet. It was a free graphic. And I opened it up in the software. And I manipulated the size. And then I sent it wirelessly to my Scan and Cut. Put the paper in. Just plain paper. It was so awesome. And it cut out all these holes. Every single one of them. It was amazing. It was amazing to watch. Almost as fun to watch as my friend Dawn's embroidery sewing machine thingy. Embroidery sewing machine thingy. She's going to appreciate that, I think. Okay, so these two go inside. This one goes in the front with his little friend. And this one goes in the back pocket. They're a little narrow, but I'm alright with that. I may make another one of these, so it's just not the one narrow one now that I kind of look at it. Then since we have a pocket here, I got all these tags out. And yes, I realized the mushroom is on the tag upside down. I did that by accident, but now I kind of like it, and I'm leaving it. So we're going to match up that little mushroom there. And I wasn't sure how wide the pocket was going to end up. Let's see. Want something taller. I need to punch this hole out and put something in there, don't I? Alright, I'll do that before the next video. Let's see, here's a couple more square writing cards. So let's put one in there. We'll put the big tag behind it. And then I'll fix that. Maybe we could fit this in the front. Just load this puppy up too. Okay, and I've already inked all these. So all I have to do is punch this hole out. And then I guess we could glue it to the paper, couldn't we? I probably shouldn't have put all that stuff in there. So these are the ones we're going to use. All right, now I'm not going to glue all the way to the top because a little bit of it's going to be sticking out. Now this isn't directly behind the cover. That's page 4. And in fact, we could make a pocket behind, couldn't we? let's leave it open. It's not going to hurt anything. And then we can decide. Okay, let's get it in the center there, Terry. Oh, how cute. I like it. It's not straight. So the bottom is crooked. Why does it look crooked? Is it just me? It's just me. When you lay it down, it looks crooked. Oh, I know why. Because this side of the bag sticks out past, so it looks wider than this. You know what I mean? The top of the bag is skewed over. So the bottom is straight, but the bag looks crooked because it kind of slides this way a little bit. Okay, and then when we put this in the book, then we'll be able to see a little bit of the bag. And if I decide to make a big giant writing card to go behind, then I'll make sure that sticks out as well. Okay? All right. So now we've got our paper bag done. Stick these back in here. And then I'll put a ribbon or something in this. I'm not going to stick it all the way down in there. Just put it right there like that. So that's what our page is going to be. That's our paper bag page. I like it. And so since we're done with the bag, then we're done with the video. And I will see you in the next video. And that will be just a second for you and a day for me. Alrighty. Bye-bye.